Hey, Stephen, thank you so much for taking out the time to share your experience about working with the Abundant Accountant and specifically being in our 8-week sales mastery course with other really serious firm owners that might be considering working with us, but want to hear from other people or just want to hear from others that have worked with us. So before we dive in, I'd love it if you could share where you're at in the country and what services do you focus on offering in your firm?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am in Boise, Idaho, and I've been here about 15 years. Started Savvy Tax Strategies about little over 2 years ago. We do full accounting, except for we're not a CPA, so we don't do reviewed financials or audited financials. But other than that, we do bookkeeping, payroll, tax preparation for personal and business, as well as Profit First. I'm a certified Profit First professional
Mhm.
and launching CFO advisory services here this year too.
Awesome. What was your biggest challenge, Stephen, before we started working together when we met in your firm, as it relates to your sales process, your pricing, and those things that were really driving you crazy or had you frustrated and a little stressed? What were the biggest challenges that you had around sales in your firm?
Well, I mean, I'm a lifelong salesperson, so the sales process itself is not hard for me. But as I've grown my business, it's been a little harder to get those standard operating procedures out of my head, getting building rapport and all that kind of stuff out of my head and into other people who it doesn't come as naturally to. So there definitely was the making a process part of it, and having it all documented and printed out in the binder so that the next person can see it as well.
Yeah.
And then the other part was honestly was the big piece was just the pricing and the charging appropriately. I came into this business doing bookkeeping. I've done taxes for years, but doing the bookkeeping part, I started because kept finding the small guy, the little guy who wasn't getting
Yeah.
the right representation. And so that meant to me that I had to charge them very little.
Yeah.
And so I quickly found that I could not provide premium service at cheap prices, or as your analogy that really I liked a lot was the Emirates airline, the premium first class. I call what I call it is Savvy Ritz. I always wanted to provide that 5-star service, but I was charging Spirit airline prices.
Yeah.
And you can only do it for so long. It doesn't scale very well. It's hard to hire and pay employees when you're charging Spirit airline prices. I don't know how they do
I don't
it.
know either. And but you know what they did, Stephen? They shortened the tray tables, they shortened the length between the seats, so they added some extra rows, right? And I think a lot
Yeah,
of
you
firm
sit on
owners,
a lawn chair. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of firm owners get stuck in that trap though, like you're talking about when you first start out, you are charging really low. You're thinking, oh, in the future I can change that and I can fix that. And now you've realized that you can be okay at sales and everything but not have a process, but when your pricing is done incorrectly from the beginning, like you said, it's Savvy Ritz is your business, but you can't offer that premium high value service at Spirit Airlines prices, right? You got to charge for the
Right.
bag, you got to charge for your purse, you have to charge to sit in a seat, you have to pay for a bottle of water. Like they just nickel and dime you. And I think a lot of firm owners end up in that trap. And what would you say was the moment that you decided to do something about it and engage and, with us and enroll in our 8-week sales mastery training?
Yeah, well, the moment was, right there when you guys were at ProfitCon, when you were at the Profit First conference. I'd seen you before with Cameron Montgomery, I think it was, and a couple other things, on social media with all the different groups that I'm part of. So I've definitely seen your stuff, but didn't really delve much into it until I saw you at ProfitCon, and I thought, okay, let's see what she's got because she's talking about sales and I know I need to kind of fix this. And we had been talking about, me and my accountant had been talking about pricing and charging more anyways. And so it all kind of looped together. It was like the great atmosphere came together and said, the universe said, here's Michelle for you.
Yeah. No, I love that. And what would you say, you've heard about me before. A lot of people might have heard of the podcast, the Abundant Account podcast. They might have seen me speak somewhere, do a webinar. But what were some of your hesitations before you said, okay, let me give this a go and really put all the effort in? And, you've shown up every week, you've done all the homework. Like, what other things, and also maybe did you try, but it just didn't work? But really, what were some of those hesitations and fears that maybe you had to overcome when you said, okay, I'm going to do this?
The biggest hesitation, first of all, as a salesperson, I'm the easiest person to sell to, right? Because you always want to say yes. So that part wasn't a hesitation so much. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do this. The hesitation part was I say yes to a lot of stuff. And so it was like, do I need another coach? I'm already in Profit First. I'm already in Tax Mavericks with David Perez in Texas, and do I can barely keep up with the sales calls or the coaching calls that I have now.
Yeah.
Am I taking advantage of everything that I'm already paying for? Do I really need something else?
Mm.
So what I actually liked about your process was that it was specifically for 8 weeks. It was specifically for a portion of my business, a specific part that I wanted to fix. So
Yeah.
I knew it was short term, right? I knew it was finite, what I was going to do, when it was going to happen, and that it would be over. So I didn't have to worry about was it going to encroach on other things. And yeah, maybe, in one of the other programs there's coaching or there's pricing involved in there. But I figured if you had a process that was specific to only that, it must be pretty good. It must be worthwhile. And
I
so,
would say so.
yeah, so that's why I went with it. But the hesitation was definitely just like, is this just another thing that I need to
Yeah.
do or that I
And
am doing?
And I think, Stephen, you bring up a really good point because there's a lot of firm owners that say yes to a lot of things. Like, I heard from someone last week, oh, they're going to do this pricing like workshop, for 150 bucks or whatever it is. What would you say is unique and different about working with us for the 8 weeks versus other coaching programs and other programs that you're currently in or have been in? What has been really unique and different that would help another firm owner out that might be in those same places that you were in?
I would say that the most unique part was just how well it was laid out week by week. You build on the process. Now you're doing this one this week, right? And then when we go on the phone calls, it just kind of edifies what you just did that week, splitting it up between you and Denise for 1 through 4 and 5 through 8 or whatever. Like that works really well because then you're in kind
The
of the
weeks that you're
same,
in. Yeah, like if
yeah,
you're in
you're in the
week
same
one, two,
group. And
three, four. Yep.
so that was that I think just that helped kind of put it all together
Mm,
and had it all be cohesive. And then of course, you actually checking the homework. And I've been in a program that kind of did that and so that always helps too because the accountability then is there
yeah.
as well. And not just something like where you pay them and so then they don't really care if you do it or not.
Yeah.
I'd say 90% of those programs never get finished, but
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome. And so, how are things looking for you now, Stephen, with your pricing and, what have been some of your biggest wins and celebrations that you can share on a high level, like increase in revenue or just the changes that you've made that you're going to be implementing this next tax season? I'd love it if you can share some of your successes that you've seen in the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely have brought on quite a few like monthly recurring revenue clients where we've charged more. Last year, I brought on in December, I brought on my largest client at that time was about 900. It was like $900 a month. It was for full tax planning, um, bookkeeping, like everything, right? Like my kind of an
It was the
all-in
Savvy
package.
Ritz at Spirit Airline prices.
It
Yeah.
was, well, yeah, I mean, at the time I didn't think so. Like that was my largest client at
Yep.
$12,000 for the year. And I was just like, yes, this is awesome. And now, like I have somebody that is much, I'm providing a lot less and I'm charging more for.
Yeah.
My goal was my average pricing was about 350 at the time we started. My goal was to get it closer to 750. Now we're not even quoting anybody less than that. So everybody's coming in, not quoting, but when we do the
Asking for the
pricing,
investment. Yes.
when we
Good,
do the
good
whole
job.
investment thing, it's much higher now, and so we're definitely getting closer to that 750 as we renew the contracts with
Good.
clients, um, and then
So
also,
proud of you.
so
And you're
thank
not
you.
sending any quotes and you're not sending any proposals.
No, we don't
So
do
I
that. I
love
mean, I never really did that very well anyways. I was always, hey, this is what we do,
yeah.
take it. But so yesterday, last night, I sent out my business tax return engagement letter
Lovely.
with my, what we called a material increase in
Yep.
pricing. And immediately, the very first, actually, I think it was the second. So the first response I got was, "Hey, what about this other company?" Because he has two companies, and I only sent it on one of them because I still needed to send him the other one. But they're gonna take it, I'm sure, and that'll be a 50% increase on both companies.
Love it.
And
So
then I had another one.
what's been the total increase MRR just in like a high level in what you're seeing?
Probably, I mean, just in those 8 weeks, probably an extra 20 to 30%
Wow. And
increase over where we
dollar
were.
amount, what would that equate to additional versus what you had?
Yeah, an additional $4,000 a month,
Awesome. And
somewhere
that's
around there.
compounding, right? So over a
Yep.
12-month period, just on those clients, and then every new one is just adding to it. So you'll
Yep,
be at an
exactly.
extra 10,000 recurring revenue in no time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely one of the numbers we track. That's one of my KPIs that my
Yeah.
client coordinator and I track, and she puts it all together every month and see the month over month what we're increasing. And so, but yeah, that business engagement. So I did have somebody respond almost right away that said, Thanks, we won't be using your services next year." And I'd already kind of expected it
Yeah.
from them anyways. I hadn't had a lot of communication, so I figured they weren't going to renew. But knowing that the other person that did respond
Yes.
that was going to do it, and they've got two companies, like it had already paid for the difference in that other person not doing it.
Leaving.
I was
Yeah.
like,
And
okay, so I have.
now you have more capacity in your Ritz
Exactly. I've got
airplane
only two returns to do
to,
instead of three, but I made the
to
same
fill in
amount.
a new first class seat with a first class client paying you first class prices. So sometimes it's good that that person said no and that you were like completely okay with it too.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of this, Stephen. And, I'd love it if you can share, like, how do you feel now versus where you were just 8 weeks ago? If you look at your personal life, your mood, your energy, like, how do you feel now as a firm owner, as a human being versus where you were feeling before?
Well, I can tell you with not going into detail of all the other stuff going on in my life and all the other
Yes.
fires, that this part though, I'm excited about tax season coming around. I'm excited that the majority of them will be paid by the end of this year.
Yes.
So, that'll be nice. It'll be a nice little Christmas bonus
Yes.
rather than having to wait until February, March, April and all of that.
Yeah. No,
But
you're
yeah,
getting
it's just,
paid up front. You've implemented all the changes.
yep. And those are just the renewals. Yeah. I even had somebody last night, they already paid. I sent out the letter within an hour, they already paid for the return. So
Yeah. And you
I'm
wrote
excited about that.
you wrote a great letter, and that's a big piece of what we do is making sure we think through all these elements and being able to communicate in a way with confidence where the clients that do see your value are going to stick around. The other ones, you just freed up VIP seats. So I love that.
Yep,
And
exactly.
how else do you feel?
Relieved I'm done with it.
Yeah, it was a lot
Now
of
it's
work,
just
huh?
it's just making sure it's implemented, right? And
Yeah.
making sure that we follow the process. And so I've been talking to Katie, my client coordinator, about, we got to here's the questionnaire to send out. Let's make sure we do
Yep.
this. And so
Great.
yeah.
Well, I'm relieved that you're relieved and that you completed it 100%. You gave it your all. You did so amazing. It's financially paying off. And now it's like you can actually look forward to tax season and you'll have a great Christmas bonus, which I don't think in the past you've had.
Nope.
Been looking forward to tax season. Most people have never said that, so that's a big deal. I'd love it, Stephen, if you could share what would you tell another firm owner or even like yourself 3 months ago who's heard about me before, they've heard about the 8 week sales mastery course, they've been thinking about maybe joining our 8 week sales mastery course. They're really serious about taking their firm to the next level, but they have some fear. They're wondering, is this going to work for them? You know, all those things that maybe you were wondering. What words of wisdom would you have for a firm owner like that today?
Well, I think the big key there that you said is that they are serious about taking their firm to the next level because, I mean, honestly, if you're not going to put in the work, you're going to waste the money. So if you're willing to put in the work and to actually put it into practice, then it is 100% worth it. You will get the return on investment tenfold, which I haven't gotten it tenfold yet, but it's also I just finished it last week. So give me a little time to get tenfold in there, but it's definitely
Definitely
100%
on
worth
your
it.
way. As
Yeah,
long
I'm
as
on my way.
everyone
It'll
pays you every month for the next 12 months, it's more than tenfold.
This is true. This is true. So yeah, it's definitely worth it and take the leap of faith, do it, but also be serious about it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Stephen, so much for taking out the time to share your experience. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with another firm owner that might be considering working with us and being a part of the Abundant Accountant family that maybe I didn't ask you, but you just feel compelled to share?
Um, Well, I mean, you see my red rope there behind me that you gave me. So that's my red rope right there. And I guess the big thing is be true to yourself,
Mhm.
right? Know who you want to work with.
Yeah.
And you'll do that in week 1 or week 2, I think it is, something like
Yep.
that. And so when you create that, stick to it, stick to your guns. Do your people who you want to work with and you'll enjoy, I think, life and your business a lot more.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You bet.